Excited to say that we will be doing the play, which is called It Really Is James Baldwin, uh, at the Dia Hurston New Village Arts Center uh, in Carlsbad. And we will be there August 3rd, which is a Saturday night, at 7:30 is our curtain. And it is one of the most vital pieces of information is we talked about it being a celebration and we talked about sponsorship. That sponsorship has allowed this to be a free performance. So this is open to the public. It's highly suggested that you make reservations. But it is free. It's open. So come and bring friends. Uh, Whether you know Baldwin, if you don't know Baldwin, no need even to do research. I think you'll get a sense of him. And I think, again, we're in a place that creates art, meaning the center, the New Village Arts Center. And Dia was such an important part of that, that I think that she will be filling the space as well. I feel that very strongly because we're all coming with that spirit. So I hope you'll be there. Actually, it was part of the Black Arts Festival. We did a reading there at the Globe, and people really loved it. When you write comedy, you're not always sure that people will find it funny. So for me, it was a great experience to hear people laugh because it is definitely a celebration. It is meant to celebrate artists, particularly Black artists, writers, fine artists, painters. Um, and I wanted it to have humor. I knew that Baldwin's 100th birthday was coming up. And many people feel when they hear Baldwin's name that it's going to be very serious and maybe even angry, because a lot of his political activism was very, very strong and very, very pointed. But because I love Baldwin and have loved Baldwin for a long time, I've seen a lot of video, and he's very, very funny. He's hysterical. And he's kind of sardonic. And I wanted to, in this play, what happens is he actually died in 87, but he comes to New York 37 years later. It him. He leaves France, and after he dies, and decides that he wants to come back to New York because he left Harlem and went to France to write, and he wants to come back and do more work. And he doesn't have any money. So it's a matter of how do I get, I mean, the first place he lands is Georgia. So he's trying to figure out how he will get from Georgia to Harlem because that's where he does his best work. And also there's a woman in it also who's very important, Emmeline Abbott, who is a fine artist, a painter. And she actually is based on someone that I knew who also was a really, really prominent artist. And also, there are conversations about what it means to try to protect your art and try to keep it alive and keep it growing and keep it moving, and to do it with joy, to do it with strength, but to do it with joy. The timing was such, actually, that I heard about Dia Hurston's passing as we were preparing. I was at the end of preparing the script, the first draft of it, and it just hit me. It was as though she spoke to me and said, when you do this, keep me in mind. And she and I we had several long conversations about art where we talked about keeping art in mind and keeping artists in mind, and also protecting their worth, knowing their worth. And it was as though I said, "Oh my God, this Dia, you're there, you're right there in this." And so I thought, well, you know what I would really like to do is let's just commemorate who she was, what she offered, what she had to give. It's hard for me to say was because she was such a strong spirit that it still feels odd to me to say was. But also her love of art and theater. So it's a marriage, really, I think, of the theater and art and a sensibility of, well, we have two really important artists. We have Dia and we have Baldwin, from two different time periods, kind of. But certainly people, artists of color, artists who were as political as they were theatrical, um, artists who were also had wicked senses of humor. When I think of Dia, and I said we had several very long conversations about art, she's just so funny. And we enjoyed each other. We enjoyed each other's humor. We kind of were on the same wavelength. So it was fun. So I just feel her spirit in this. 90% of this cast have done her work, Dia's work. I'm trying to think. I think every single person that I named is in what I call the Christmas play. And I know that's not I know that's not, I'm sorry, I know that's not the correct title. It's but that's how I refer to it, as the Christmas play. Whenever I speak to Portia and I speak to Milena, I always say, well, it was around the time of the Christmas play. And so that's kind of our common vocabulary. They understand. But yes, so we're talking about Deja was in it for sure. Portia was in it. Milena was in it. Excited about that. And of course, they were thrilled when I said to them, I think we should just go ahead and do this in celebration of, let's just make it very clear to people that we're celebrating